I'm not here to preach at you, but do you get yourself in a lot of awkward situations because you can't say no and your boundaries suck? Do you like being kind, but you feel like sometimes you're just too nice, so people take advantage of you? I'm a big believer that shifting into the identity of a more empowered person where we have stronger boundaries and we can say no a little bit easier. They really are lessons we kind of have to learn on our own through our own experiences to really get it deep in our bones of, I don't want to be that version of me anymore. But I also believe that we have cheat codes, shortcuts, places like YouTube to learn from, so we can get a little bit of a leg up in becoming that new identity of who we really want to be. That's what I'm here for. Yes, I'm a mentor and a professional life coach, but secretly, selfishly, one of the reasons I started this channel is because I really want to be that big sister of wisdom that I never had. I never had a big sister growing up, so maybe through my experiences, my life lessons, I can bring that here for you if that's what you're seeking as well, or didn't even know you need, but you're like, actually, that would be kind of nice. So being a super nice girl is something I really struggled with like my entire I don't even know if I really had boundaries. If I did, they were super weeble wobbly. I had been the girl who, I experienced some rejection in my life. So anytime there was a guy that was like, being nice to me, but I wasn't really into him, I would really operate under that mindset of, well, everybody deserves a chance. I don't want to be that mean person that rejects somebody just because, I'm not necessarily into them. And so then that would put me in some really weird situations, or maybe over obligating myself in my calendar because in the moment I didn't want to say no, or then I didn't want to, I didn't want to be a flake later, but sometimes I ended up being a flake, and then that just kind of creates a weird reputation with people. And I got to a point where I got really sick of that version of myself. I got sick of being the one who just easily says yes, and I got sick of being the one who honestly ended up being a pushover. I'd have friends come to me and be like, oh, I reached out to you because I knew you'd say yes. And although it was nice to hear that people felt like they could count on me, it kind of felt like a backhanded compliment where I was like, I don't really know how to feel about that, because I don't want to just be the person who says yes all the time and doesn't have a backbone. And I don't want to just be the friend out of convenience. So I think that there was a lot of contrasting moments that were really showing me, ooh, I want more respect in my life. I want to be more taken serious. Here's the things that I personally did to shift out of that so that I could become my more empowered self, that I know if you apply these and you really take to heart what I'm saying, you can shift too. Now, I'm a believer in real tangible steps, not just fluff conversation. Let's just throw this idea in the air and talk about it. I'm really going to give you some stuff, but it's because I love you and I really want you to leave this video different than you came. So the first step, just like with anything in life, I had to deeply accept the truth that I was a huge people pleaser, somebody that was getting taken advantage of left and right. And that really came from this idea of understanding that I was the common denominator. Every single one of those situations was connected to me. So at some point I had to stop getting mad at all the external people that I felt like weren't really treating me in the way that I deserved. And I had to really see that the common thread was me. The only thing that connected all of those situations together was me. It was uncomfortable and it didn't feel good. And I was down and out for a little bit. I was a little depressed, realizing, oh my gosh, how sad is that? It really made me connect to this idea of like, wow, maybe my self-worth is kind of lacking because maybe I'm not seeing myself as worthy to say more of how I feel or to say no. Maybe there was some of me not respecting myself in these situations. And I didn't really have the full clarity yet of how that was all true and, what the real stories were and the underlying beliefs, but I had a starting point. I had a sudden pattern disrupt of a pause and a moment of saying, wait a second, wow, let me bring consciousness into this experience. So to then take all of this further, I began to build a little bit more of a connection with my journal and sitting with myself because I was really determined to change this. I think if people are telling you, journal, meditate, whatever, but you don't really have a connection to it, it's really hard to do those things. But when you really want something and you're like, you know what? No, this is the new me. I'm changing this. I'm determined. Suddenly you just show up different and you just do the thing because you have that emotional connection stronger. So without judging myself, I really began to just write out what are all the things going on in relationships or friendships or past scenarios that I can remember where I showed up and I either got an outcome that I didn't like, or I felt that the way I showed up was inauthentic and didn't really allow me to be received in the light that I wanted to be received in. To simplify it, what are the things that I really wanted to change? The annoying thing is, as you bring some things to light and you start to really see, oh, specifically, these are the things I want to change. Life is going to give you opportunities to practice letting those things go and to building your power around those things and to doing what you said you were going to do when you committed to the change. I ended up getting a lot of situations where I was tested a bit. I had to face moments where I was going to have to put up a boundary and it was awkward and uncomfortable. And there was a lot of moments I didn't do it. I went back into my old ways of being. But what was happening was I was starting to have a new awareness in those newly presented situations. Instead of just on autopilot being the people pleaser, being the nice girl, having no boundaries, saying yes, if I started saying yes when I wanted to say no, I caught myself. I had an awareness of that old version of me showing up again. And so then the next time something like that happened, I was a little bit stronger. Or afterwards, I could have a conversation with myself and say, oh, okay, so I see what happened and I see that I showed up not in the way that I wanted. It's okay. I'm going to be kind to myself, and the next time I'm going to work on it again. This is what I mean when I say the inner work is gradual shifts over time. It's building a gradual new relationship with yourself. And that's what I began to do because it was something that I so badly wanted to change. I really believe we can all change anything that we desire. We just have to want it bad enough, and we have to get honest enough with currently the way things are going and not working instead of pretending like they aren't happening. Part of being an overly nice person is you're kind of just in denial because it's like, well, I'm a really nice person, so obviously it's them treating me bad. But the truth is you're receiving what you think you're worthy of subconsciously. So if you can start to change the internal dialogue around what you say you're worthy of and you believe you deserve, then over time, the more you start to believe externally, people will start to treat you different and shift how they're being in your world. I say this with full confidence and conviction after being the person who lived so much of my life in that realm because I just wanted to be liked by everybody. I wanted everybody else's approval because I didn't have my own. Externally, I get feedback from people that I didn't even ask for, comments that I never expected. It just shows up. I'll have people out of the blue being like, you've really changed. Like, I really like this energy that you're in. Because I'm a coach and so I show up online and stuff. And so it makes sense people would say that, but like, people didn't used to say that. Or I started getting more clients because my messaging was more clear because I stopped beating around the bush and I was like, listen, straight up, here's how I can help you. I spoke clearly in a confident way because I really believed in what I was saying and people on the other end could hear it. So those are just a couple examples, but very powerful shifts in my life. And I've continued to see it since. The coolest part is once you start doing this work and you start changing your beliefs, you really can't go back. So then it gets to forever be different. You get to forever be shifted into this more empowered version of yourself and treated with respect and dignity and seen as a high-powered individual. The way that we treat ourselves models to the world how we desire to be treated. When you carry yourself in a more loving state where you say, I know I deserve to take up space, that is an energy people can feel. I promise you this. And from there, really, it was just a lot of repetition around belief work, reassuring myself that the things I was newly saying could actually be true. And then a little bit every day, stepping into that version of me, not being mad when I didn't get it perfect. Think about it. If you, we're like a computer and we've been operating under one operating system for 20 plus years, and then you decide to finally shift it and change it and upgrade it to the next one, it's gonna take some time to get rid of the other operating system, import the new one, and get everything running smoothly. We've got to get all these pieces on board. It can take a little bit of time. And that's why this stuff can also be a little frustrating because the moment that we decide we're not going to be that nice girl anymore, she doesn't just go away. And also, being a nice girl is a great thing. It's when you feel like you're getting taken advantage of all the time that it's a problem. It's about being safe in who you are, feeling confident in who you are, knowing that you are enough and sharing that outwardly, having the approval internally within the self. So things that helped me with that were really just like diving into a lot of personal development books, actually YouTube University. I was diving into all kinds of mentors that don't even know I exist on there. I did work with therapists in the past, and then eventually started working with coaches because I wanted more of a forward momentum conversation. And I noticed that a lot of it started to click deeper when I stopped trying to do it all myself as well, because this was stuff that was pretty new to me. I was like, okay, I've got all these tools, but like, how do I implement them so they work for me? So if you're on the up-level journey too, and you're ready to shift out of all of this, but you don't want to do it by yourself, I take one-on-one clients. I have my link to book with me down below. So I would be honored to work with you. This is my passion. This is what I live and breathe and spend my entire life doing, is helping people shift out of really sticky places that feel impossible to get out of. So That link is below, but I also do have other videos that can help you step by step dive into deeper self-worth for yourself, deeper self-love, and understand what that all even means. So thank you for being here. And in the meantime, own your power and know that everything you need is already there internally within you. You just have to tap in.